You know, last year, I told you if Joe became president, you would have one of your own in the White House. And here we are. You helped make this real. So thank you, NEA. I have never been more proud to call myself an educator. And I hope that as your First Lady, I will make you proud as well. When the world as we knew it shut down last year, people across this country wondered, how will we keep our children learning? How will we stop kids from going hungry? Who will support parents? But you didn't wonder. You got to work. I saw it with my own eyes as I crisscrossed this country and met with educators just like you. The cafeteria worker who spent long hours making sandwiches for hungry families. The teacher who retaught her lessons each night for a student whose siblings used the family computer during the day. The bus driver who drove to Wi-Fi hotspots to neighborhoods with no connection. The counselor who took call after call from parents in tears, just trying to juggle it all. America's students and families faced a crisis like never before. They needed champions like never before. And they found their champions in you. You pushed through the chaos and adapted overnight. You met families where they were and reimagined what a classroom could be. You spoke out for safely reopening schools and more student support. You carried families through the darkest year in modern history with patience, compassion, and care. And you did it all while you worried about your own family's health and education and safety. With all of my heart, and on behalf of millions of students and families, thank you for being the heroes we needed. Thank you for answering this call. And now, it's my great pleasure to introduce someone who makes us all proud, our union president, Becky Pringle.
NEA, I have been introduced by many NEA members. But how cool is it that I was just introduced by an NEA member who just happens to be the First Lady of the United States of America. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Jill, not only for that wonderful introduction, but thank you so much for always, in an unwavering manner, standing up for our students, speaking up for the people who have dedicated their lives to educating America's students, our incredible, phenomenal educators. Thank you so much, Dr. Jill Biden. It is such an honor, NEA, to welcome to the stage a man that really doesn't need any introduction because we spent a great deal of time talking about him all over this country. And in just 6 months, he kept his commitment. 6 months. His unwavering commitment to our students and to educators, to unions, to racial and social justice, which we at the NEA understand is education justice. President Biden has demonstrated his unwavering commitment to the shared values that we all hold dear: freedom and fairness, equity and equality. It gives me so much pleasure, and I am so very honored to welcome and introduce to you the President of these United States of America, President Joe Biden.
Hello, everyone. They tell me there are a few people out there watching. Couple thousand. But look, before I begin my formal comments, as Jill and your president spoke, it reminded me of two things. One is that because of your help, because we were able to pass the American Rescue Plan, we were able to get millions of shots in people's arms and provide vaccines around the world and change the circumstances. So this week, this Friday, they announced the new employment figures. Another 800 and some thousand jobs created this week. We've now created more jobs since you got me sworn in than any president in American history in the same time frame. We are in a situation where we are doing things that I think are going to fundamentally change the trajectory of this country. I told you a long time ago, it's not just the NEA and unions, it's about building America from the middle up and the middle out, not trickling down. There's a lot we can do, a lot more we can do. And folks, you know, the projected growth rate before we started, I just was doing this earlier this morning, was to be half of what it is now. It's expected to be over 7.2%. The economy is going to grow this year. That means thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of jobs, and we're just getting started. So I want to thank you, Madam President, and congratulate you on your first representative assembly of the NEA. Thank you. And Jill and I wanted to congratulate you all on the 100th anniversary of this convening. And notwithstanding rumors, I was not at the first convening. The NEA is one of America's indispensable organizations. I'm not just saying that because the First Lady's a member. And by the way, I noticed that I knew what all you all were going through. Jill taught full-time this semester, full-time. I watched Jill getting ready to teach her classes and going back to school herself, learning how to work online and rapidly work online and to teach online. It gave me an appreciation firsthand that I thought I had, but I wouldn't have had had I not seen it. And then going out and teaching. She was working 4 or 5 hours a day, getting ready to teach, putting her lesson plans together, a different way. And you all went through that. All of you went through that. And again, I'm not saying this because of something Jill, I would, in truth, if I didn't support the NEA, I'd be sleeping in the Lincoln bedroom alone. And that's not where we sleep. We don't sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. I'd be sent down to it. But, you know, look, as Jill always says, teaching is not what she does, it's who she is. It's who all of you are. Our children are the kite strings upon which our national ambitions are lifted aloft. And your profession helps them believe they can do anything. For that and so much more, we just wanted to thank you. Thank you all for what you do and what you continue to do. And President Pringle, you and I have something in common. We both took our current roles at a time of incredible challenge and incredible opportunity. Over the last year, the entire country has witnessed the extraordinary dedication and resolve of the NEA members, teachers, professionals, who had to be not just educators, but tech support, social workers, often while trying to take care of their own children. Other public employees who kept vital services up and running, saw the bus drivers dropping off meals instead of picking up kids. Support staff had to become sanitation experts, making sure school buildings were safe, and tech experts, making sure everyone could connect to the internet from home. You know, there's been so much heroic work to help children stay connected to school and to each other. The American people saw it, they get it, and they understand what you've been saying for years, that you are professionals, all of you, all of you. All of us have a responsibility to make sure that you have what you need to educate our children safely, equitably, and well. That's why I made it a priority to get educators vaccinated and reopen schools as quickly as possible. Nationwide, 84% of K-12 educators and school staff are fully vaccinated, and they were by the end of May. Even more have gotten the vaccine sense. But as I've said many times, it's not enough just to get back to normal. We have to build back better than ever, especially our education system. That's why the American Rescue Plan made such historic investments. It was $1.9 trillion, and people said we could never get it passed. With your help, we did, and we transformed the country, began to transform the country, providing funding for state and local governors and school districts to make sure schools were safe and to keep you on the job and in the classrooms. Funding for summer learning and tutoring programs and hiring nurses and counselors. Now we have an opportunity to make that game-changing investments for educators, students, and families and make it even better. We're in a competition in the 21st century, a worldwide competition. And as Jill says often, any country that out-educates us is going to outcompete us. We have to build for the 21st century because the rest of the world is not sitting around and waiting. The bipartisan infrastructure agreement we just reached is going to deliver reliable high-speed internet to every American, every single American, and they're going to be affordable in rural and in urban areas. Of the many things, of the many tough images this past year, were children sitting in cars and fast food parking lots because it was the only place they could get a Wi-Fi connection for remote schooling. If we didn't know it before, we do now. High-speed internet is essential, like electric and clean air, like electricity and clean water. And speaking of clean water, this agreement that we put together will put Americans to work in good-paying union jobs, replacing 100% of lead water pipes in this country. 100%. Right now, there are 400,000 schools, and some of you teach in them. 400,000 schools and child care centers with lead pipes. We know even that low levels of lead can cause behavioral and learning problems in children, impairing their growth. This deal contains the largest investment in clean drinking water in American history. It would end the threat of lead contaminated water once and for all. My American Families Plan, which we're now trying to get done as well, calls for an historic investment in human infrastructure, guaranteeing 4 additional years of public education for everyone, starting as early as we can. Universal high-quality preschool for 3- and 4-year-olds. And all the data shows how that increases their prospect no matter what environment they come from to do better and make it through school. 2 years of free community college and high-quality, affordable child care for working families. It would no longer cost, it would lower the cost of lower income students going to school, the Pell Grants. We provide an additional nearly $1,500 in Pell Grants. We'll also make a $9 billion investment in educators so we can address teacher shortages, diversify our pipeline of teachers, and improve teacher training and teacher mentoring. And critically, it would extend and expand the child tax credit, which will significantly benefit working families. What that means, instead of deducting $2,000 per child off the bottom line of your taxes, which doesn't do too much for families who don't have a big tax bill to begin with, pretty soon, before this month is out, families are going to get a significant check. For every child under the age of 6, you'll get $3,600 per child. For every child 6 to 17, you'll get $3,000. Not as a credit against your taxes that a lot of educators and school staff aren't really going to feel. You'll get cash. Starting the middle of this month, you'll start to get monthly payments between now and the end of the year. For example, if you have one child and you're going to get $3,600. Between now and January, you'll get $1,800 of that on a monthly basis between now and January. And between January and December, you'll get the other $1,800. Folks, this is a major tax break for working families. And my family plan will extend it for 5 years. This year's plan is estimated to cut child poverty in half, the child tax care. So look, folks, I'm also working with Congress to support $100 billion in school infrastructure investments, making sure that our schools are safe. You have the technology you need to prepare for students of the future, something that I've always cared deeply about. My budget invests $20 billion more in Title I schools. No student's education should depend on their zip code. It would represent a historic effort to close the funding gap between rich and poor districts. And one of the first things that funding will be used for is to help educators in those schools get the raises they deserve and the resources they need. And by the way, if I note, this is not trying to be nice. This is absolutely necessary. Necessary if we're going to compete in the 21st century. Think about it. The idea that we have a large portion of our student population living in zip codes where they cannot afford the kind of education and can't pay the teachers enough in those schools to educate them, it makes no sense. The people who are going to benefit the most from this are corporate America and businesses, because they're going to have better educated public, better educated students. Your union and teachers' protests across the country made it clear that you deserve more than praise. You deserve a raise, not just praise. And folks, every parent in this country who spent the last year helping educate their children at home understand you deserve a raise. They figured it out. No, I'm serious. Think about it. Think about it. It was the ultimate education of the public going through this pandemic. My budget would also allow us to invest more in counselors, social workers, community schools, nutrition support, and a whole lot more. I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to get the hook from Jill if I keep talking. So let me close with this. On Sunday, we'll celebrate our independence as a nation, as well as our progress against the virus. In the days ahead, we have a chance to make another beginning, the beginning of a stronger, fair education system. But it can't be done. It can't be done with you. We can't do it alone. We need to keep getting the word out about the opportunity that lies ahead for us. So let's make this happen together. I really mean this. This is a campaign in and of itself. Jill and I are proud of you. We're grateful to you. And I really mean that. You know, I think about it. Why would a kid like me from Scranton and Claymont, Delaware, be standing here as your President of the United States of America? Were it not for the people who educated me, the teachers I had. It made a difference. They took a stuttering kid who couldn't speak very well in school, was scared to death to be called on to read out loud. And they nurtured me. Joey, you're a very smart boy, Joey. Just take your time. Don't let that get in your way, Joey. I'm serious. I think what you all underestimate, beyond the teaching of reading and writing, adding and subtracting, you give so many kids confidence. You let them believe in themselves. I'm not joking. Think about yourself, your own. You can name the teachers who helped change your life. You can name them. I can still name them. I know who the people who made a difference in my life. Made me believe I could do anything. When if you looked at the background, there's no reason why. Coming from my circumstance, it wasn't poverty, just making it. But you did it. Don't forget it. Don't forget how much difference you make. Those you've been teaching a while, you have experiences like Jill has. People will come up to Jill and say, Ms. Biden, I had your English class. I can't thank you. What are you doing now? Well, I have my doctorate and I'm teaching at such and such. Or a fireman putting out a fire in our home. Mrs. Biden has all his gear coming out of a house that almost burned down. Mrs. Biden, you had me. You had me as a teacher. You taught me English. Think of the people's lives you change. You know, I'm supposed to stop, but I'm going to say a couple more things. Because I really don't think you understand or you appreciate just how important you are. I really mean it. I genuinely mean it from the bottom of my heart. I was overseas at what they call the G7, the biggest economies in the world. And then with the NATO people, and then I met with Putin. And in the process of doing all this, I was asked at one point, can you define America for me? And I'll give you my word to this. I said yes, and I believe this. And I repeated it again today as I swore in new citizens, young people in the White House. I said, I can define America, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, in one word: possibilities. It's the only nation in the world where we think we can do anything. Now, why do we think that? Not a joke. Why do we think that? Why do we think anything's possible? It's not just the system. It's the people who look out for us. I've said 100 times, you the teachers, determine what this country is going to look like. You are the people who take our children and nurture them. As I've said many times, you're the kite strings upon which we lift our national ambitions aloft. So understand how important you are. And by the way, understand how important that cafeteria worker is, who looks at that kid who's a little bit ashamed that they have no food at home and says, honey, here's a little more. Take some more. Or packs a little bag without telling them after they have lunch and slips it to them. You provide their dignity. You give them dignity. So, I really mean it. I think you're the single most important component of America's future. So don't give up on yourselves. And I know you won't. Don't give up on these kids. Give them hope. Make them believe in themselves. And make sure when they're much older, and they say, how'd you get here? Because Mrs. Jones or Mr. Williams or whomever. Because it will be done. It will be done. Thank you. Thanks for all you do, all you give, and all that you are to your students and to the nation. You know you affect your students, but it's to the nation. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you so much.